If only I was more confident, or I was prettier, if I had more money, if I was younger, if I was more talented, if I was somewhere else, if I had better equipment, then I would be completely out of excuses and I would have to actually do something. The problem is that humans are community-based mammals and we therefore care about what other people think of us. We care about where we fit into the hierarchy. It is programmed within us, sadly, but we live at a time when we are bombarded with how we should be, how we should live our lives, what we should look like, what we should be doing. And there is a very real danger that we let this affect how we live our lives, the decision we make, the people we choose to be. It is so much easier now more than ever to become a victim of if only and to pinpoint your happiness on something conditional that might or might not happen in the future. The reason if only is so sneaky is because it is comforting. It is a very seductive way of thinking because it gives you an out. It is so much nicer to think of yourself as a victim of circumstance than as someone who just isn't doing what they should be doing. It's easier to think I'd have a successful business if I was more confident than it is to work on being confident or to start your business despite your insecurities and just keep working at it. It's easier to think I'd be more creative if I had better equipment than it is to work on your creativity, to work on bypassing the initial blockage you have. Having an if only attitude is the same as surrendering yourself to something that might not even happen. So if you're thinking, you know, I will try and achieve this goal when I feel more confident, there is no guarantee that you will ever feel more confident. You will not wake up one morning and feel more confident. That's not how it works. If anything, the way you'll get more confident is by persevering with your goal regardless. You know, it's easier to think I'd be more happy if I had more money than it is to work on being happy. Self-sabotage is just sometimes so much easier than actually facing the thing that we're trying to avoid. But you know, why do we do this? Why, if we're trying to achieve a goal, do we put stumbling blocks in our way? Well, it's because anything that you want to achieve is going to involve some sort of discomfort. It's going to involve overcoming something that feels initially negative, whether that is anxiety or vulnerability or stress or fear or pain or something. There'll be something negative to overcome to achieve anything worthwhile. You know, the path to anything that is worth having is not an easy one. And sometimes, you know, you're looking down that road, you can see that the thing you want's right at the end of it, and you realize exactly what it's going to take to get there. You realize that it's going to be scary and it's going to be difficult. And rather than thinking, I can face this, I can do this, sometimes it's easier to think, I am not equipped. I am not equipped to be able to do this. And that is where if only thinking comes in. You know, if only I owned this helpful tool, if only I was more like this person, if only I was in this different place, then all the pieces would line up. The situation would be perfect for me to achieve the goal that I want to achieve. There is no perfect situation, there is no perfect person, and that is because anything worthwhile having is fought for. It's never given. So what do we do now? How do we tell the difference between an if only that is a reason and an if only that is an excuse? Well, what I want you to do is write it down, write it as a full sentence. So if only I then I would So for example, you might say, if only I had nicer clothes, then I'd feel more confident and would go out and meet people, for example. I know the syntax is really weird, but just stick with it for the moment. So we need the bit that you want to achieve, as well as the thing that is conditional on in your mind. Then play out the scenario as if the if only part never ever happened. So in the example that you never ever get any new nice clothes. Are you gonna let that hold you back from going out and meeting new people? Is there a way that you can get around that? Is there a way that you can feel more confident without the thing that you've decided your confidence is dependent on? Will you just surrender yourself to a life of feeling inadequate, or will you go after something despite it, despite your insecurities. I think often the issue is that we assume that other people don't have insecurities and we think that we are therefore at a disadvantage, but everybody does. Every single person feels some sense of fear before they go after something that they really, really want to achieve. Maybe your example is, if only I had a better camera, then I would start a YouTube channel. In that instance, play out the scenario that you never, ever, ever get a new camera. What would you do? If you did not have a camera and you would never ever, and you knew you were never gonna get a new camera, what would you do? Could you borrow a camera? Could you just use a camera that was on your phone? If there are alternatives, the likelihood is that you are making an excuse and not giving a reason. And the difference between the two are very, very important. Often we are just trying to avoid the discomfort of doing something that's outside of your comfort zone, but nothing worthwhile is achieved in your comfort zone. Now, I should just add as well that there are absolutely legitimate things. So, you know, if you said, if only I was healthier, then ... then that is completely legitimate. Also, if only I was safer. These are things that are reasons and not excuses, but it's still a worthwhile exercise to play with. Getting to know ourselves is the most important part of achieving anything worthwhile. And the reason for this is we need to intentionally decide the path that we are going to go down. So you could think about this a lot like being the author of a story, and the story in this instance is your life. If you are writing a book and you have a protagonist, you need to know everything you can about that main character. You need to know how they think, how they act, what they like, what they don't like. You need to know as much about them as you can in order to write an effective story. And the same is true of us. We need to understand ourselves as best we can if we are going to move forward with ourselves as the main character. This is why exercises like this are really important, because you can expose things about your thought patterns and about who you are that you might not necessarily have realized. And getting to know yourself isn't necessarily a pleasant experience either. It can mean exposing lies that you've been telling yourself, and this if only way of thinking. You know, if you've been delaying any of your ambitions because of this if only way of thinking, then it's amazing that you can uncover that and you can work out ways to get around that way of thinking. And when I say ambitions, I don't mean, you know, starting a business or getting a degree or something. It doesn't have to be something big like that. It could just be, you know, improving your relationship with your loved ones, or just trying to be more content in your day-to-day life. It doesn't have to be some sort of massive goal. Anything at all is achieved through getting to know yourself just that little bit better. And if you're interested in personal growth and self-development and this kind of thing, and you enjoy doing exercises, then I have a book of 18 exercises called The Monthly Guide Workout, which I will link in the description and up in the card, which you might find very useful. I think you will find it useful. If you found this useful, you will find that useful. There are just tons of exercises. The idea is that there are 3 perspectives through which you need to look at your life. There is how you got to this point, so the past, where you are right now, and where you intend to go in the future. And it's all about getting to understand who you are, how you think, and the kind of person that you are, so that you can best work with yourself rather than pushing against something that isn't necessarily you or right for you. Do you have any if-onlys? I'd love to see them in the comments if so. And I hope you're having a lovely week. I will see you in my next video. Hope you're doing well. Goodbye.
Your position, hard to foul, social condition, not bad, but I have it any other way. Day and night, it's not the same as being wrong, right? There is truly grace, but sometimes the sanity is easy and some things are never